Hey everybody, it's Gomledex, and welcome back to part 4 of the Arena Decathlon. The Arena Decathlon is a series of 10 different events where the goal is to win as many different ones as possible, collecting Decathlon tokens along the way. We've already played through the first 3 events, so it's time to try out number 4, which is Emblem Standard. The Gift Bag Emblem Standard format is a format where you get to play with anything legal in Standard, so most people are just bringing their regular Standard decks to the event. However, you also get the added bonus of being able to get a treasure, a clue, and a food in the first 3 turns. So you're going to get one of each by the start of turn 3, and no more after that. So you know that you're going to be getting a nice little mana buff to play a 3 mana card on turn 2 with this treasure, or whenever you want to use it. You're going to be getting an extra card draw off the clue, and you're going to be getting a little bit of life gain off the food. So there's a lot of small adjustments to your decks that you can make, knowing that you get access to these tokens. You can play some more color restrictive cards than you usually would, knowing that you're going to get a treasure every single game. You can play a card, or you can play a lot of cards that care about artifacts, because you know you're going to have 3 artifacts on your board every game no matter what. And the deck that we're playing today is a deck that has some adjustments towards these emblems. So let's take a look at that. So the deck we're playing today is a mixture of a Rakdos Anvil deck and a Rakdos Midrange deck. I kind of just took some solid deck lists of each that I found, mixed the 2 together, and made my own slight adjustments from there. Rakdos Anvil is a standard archetype focused around the Oni-Cult Anvil that allows you to get a 1/1 construct whenever an artifact leaves the battlefield during your turn, once per turn, and allows you to sacrifice an artifact to deal 1 to your opponent and gain 1 life. So Oni-Cult Anvil decks, also known as Rakdos Sack decks, are these very grindy decks that have tons of cards to be able to produce blood tokens, treasure tokens, anything like that, so you know you can keep your anvils going, drain your opponent for life every turn, try to get maybe a big board of constructs if you can get a couple anvils out at the same time, and they just play a really long, really grindy match with the anvil itself. That being said, they do have to dedicate a lot of card slots in the deck to getting blood tokens, treasure tokens, anything like that. And the benefit of this format is we can get all of the benefits of running Oni-Cult Anvil and being able to grind out a lot of damage and a lot of chump blocks with this card without the downsides of having to run a large amount of weaker cards that are just in here for blood tokens. So we're running the 4 Oni-Cult Anvils, but as far as cards that are in here just to trigger the anvil without doing anything else, we only have 2 Voldaren Epic here, and I'm not sure that they're entirely necessary still, because they're not great at doing anything else but giving us a blood to help with the Oni-Cult Anvil. Everything else in the deck, we do have some cards that will help trigger the anvil. Of course, Bloodtithe Harvester, creating a blood when it comes into play, and Fable the Mirror Breaker's Goblin Shaman, producing treasures as it attacks, but these cards are both just really inherently powerful cards on their own, and they're the kind of cards you already run in a general Rakdos Midrange deck, even if you don't play Oni-Cult Anvil in that deck. So again, Anvil, pretty huge in this format. It takes very little work to get it going when you know you have 3 artifact tokens every game. So that is the first piece that's a little interesting in this deck. Outside of that, we are definitely playing a lot of just generic Rakdos mid-range cards that you're always going to see, but there are some key things that are a little different and get some huge benefits. So for the Rakdos mid-range stuff, you'll see in Standard everywhere. We have 3 Sheoldred. You will see this in every single black deck in Standard. Sheoldred is a ridiculous card that has to be killed, or she'll take over the game and win really quickly. There are 4 Graveyard Trespassers you'll see in any black mid-range deck. Incredible card. It's going to help you stabilize with some life gain. It's going to shut off unearth effects from your opponent, and it's going to force your opponent to lose 2 cards to deal with it, since it requires them to discard a card just to target it with their removal. So Graveyard Trespasser, sweet card in every black-red deck. Liliana the Veil needs no introduction. The strongest planeswalker in black or red in Standard. Fable of the Mirror Breaker, another card, the strongest red card on Arena, period. I guess Lightning Bolt's on Arena, but a multi-format all-star, just a ridiculous amount of value for only 3 mana, and it's exceptionally good in this format, because what you can do if you're on the play is jam this out on turn 2 using your treasure token, because you know you're going to get a 2/2 that gives you a treasure token every time it attacks. So that is probably the strongest play in this gift bag standard format, so I highly recommend, at the very least, playing a deck that involves red, whether you're red-black or your mono red, or your red, green, white. I've played some of those decks that are pretty good as well, because Fable the Mirror Breaker on turn 2 is a heck of a thing. If you can get that Goblin Shaman down and your opponent doesn't kill it, instead of just getting 1 treasure token from the emblem, you're spending that treasure to get 1 treasure token for every turn for the rest of the game. And if you're doing that on the play, that means that you have 2 lands out when you play this. Next turn you have 3 lands while your opponent still only has 2 because you're on the play. So you're playing 4 mana spells while your opponent's still doing 2 mana stuff. Then you play a 5 mana spell while they're playing a 3 mana thing. It's a quick way to win a game. Fable the Mirror Breaker, even just for the Goblin Shaman, is great in this format, but the Reflection of Kiki Jiki, obviously a tremendously powerful card as well, and what makes the Fable as a whole so good. You're spending 3 mana, getting 2 2/2s with very good activated abilities, and you're getting a nice little card filtering decision in the middle there. Outside of that, for general Rakdos midrange stuff, we have the removal that goes into every Rakdos midrange deck, which is Go for the Throat. You definitely want removal that's able to kill Sheoldreds, so you want stuff that can kill really high toughness creatures. That's why we're not playing exclusively red burn spells as removal. I could even see going up to 4 copies of this Go for the Throat. It's been pretty good. Again, the flex spot is really the 2 Epicures. You can change those to your liking easily. Put in another Go for the Throat, put another Invoke Despair, put another Voltage Surge or something. But yeah, Go for the Throat, self-explanatory removal. Voltage Surge and Abrade are also self-explanatory removal, but these aren't main decked incredibly often in Rakdos midrange. Surge is in Oni-Cult Anvil decks all the time. But the reason that it's in here for Rakdos midrange is twofold. Voltage Surge is in here because it is, once again, exceptionally easier to trigger than normal, because you know you have 3 artifact tokens every game, so you know no matter what, you're going to have some artifact lying around for your Voltage Surge to be a 1 mana 4 damage removal spell. So I think this gets a huge buff in this format. And then Abrade is in here because it's good at playing against other people who have also built around this emblem. Abrade, of course, 2 mana to do 3 to a creature, that's not bad at all, but the flexibility of also being able to destroy any target artifact is very, very nice here. It's super good in the mirror match where you can blow up their Oni-Cult Anvil because it's a premium card for them. And there are definitely some decks in Standard in general and in the gift bag emblem mode that play some really big artifacts like Cityscape Levelers and stuff. So just having some artifact explosion removal is nice too. So I believe I went over everything in the deck outside of Invoke Despair and Brotherhood's End. So we'll go over those now. Invoke Despair is a card that's usually a little bit risky in your black-red deck because sometimes your mana base isn't going to be perfect. We have really good mana in Standard, but not perfect mana to always cast the quadruple black card on turn 5 in the 2-color deck. But, again, that treasure token comes in really hot for Invoke Despair. If you don't have the whole Fable of the Mirror Breaker start, then you can leave that treasure behind to help you get to quadruple black, so that any 4 lands, or most 4 lands in the deck, will allow you to cast and invoke on turn 4, turn 5 pretty easily when you have the treasure helping get one of those sources. And invoke is just a huge swing in card advantage. No matter what happens, you're going up 3 cards. Either your opponent has to sacrifice 3 things, putting them down 3 cards, or you're going to draw 3 cards, putting you up 3 cards. So always a good swing in card advantage and just a super powerful card in Standard. I could easily see going up to a 4th Invoke Despair again because that treasure token makes this very manageable to cast. Finally, last but not least, we have Brotherhood's End, which is a little more main deckable in this format than general. There are definitely some Rakdos mid-range decks that already main deck it anyway, but certainly in this format I think main decking some Brotherhood's End should be pretty good. It's obviously great against aggressive strategies. You use the very basic mode there, blow up all of their creatures with 3 or less toughness with that 3 damage, but it's also another mirror breaker kind of card that wins in the mirror match. When your opponent's really going off with their Oni-Cult Anvils and you haven't managed to draw your own, or yours has been abraded or something, you can use the alternate effect of blowing up all of their artifacts with mana value 3 or less. So Brotherhood's End, a flexible and powerful board wipe here. So that is the full deck list that we'll be playing with today. I will have the deck list in the description below if you want to import that to Arena. Again, some good flex spots here if you want to move some Epicures around, swap them out for some more invokes or other removal spells, but outside of that, the deck has been playing very well. Today's gameplay was previously recorded live on Twitch, so if you hear me talking about some previous matches, talking to chat a little bit, and you see my face in the bottom right-hand corner, that's what's going on there. But outside of that, without further ado, let's head into the gameplay. No, not again. Bloodtithe isn't even very good against the officer. I think I keep the treasure to play a bigger card sooner, like playing a Sheoldred turn 3. I do have the artifact draining 1 for 2. That's true, they unearthed almost everything in their grave, and I had 0 creatures in grave, so I don't actually think we had life drain. We might have had like 2 life drain total from Trespasser. Like, period. Well, we need to top deck Brotherhood's End, because that is just triple 1 mana 2/1 to start it off. I do get to play a Sheoldred next turn to set up some life gain, and if they can't kill Sheoldred, then Sheoldred into Invoke Despair is a lot of life gain. Anvil's interesting, because everything they have is 1 toughness. Is it better to play Anvil than just slam down Sheoldred right now? We just played against this kind of soldiers deck, and they played 0 removal spells, right? Last game. So if they have like the same deck list, they probably don't have a lot of removal. I'm just going to go for the Sheoldred, because it didn't seem like they have a lot of removal. And if they're a removal low deck, Sheoldred is really likely to just get them. If I knew the matchup really well and I knew that they have like 12, 16 removal spells in the deck, Anvil would be better, but yeah, it seems like straight up just like a no removal deck. Sheoldred's going to be disgusting here. They didn't have any combat tricks. I think we just blocked the biggest thing. They'd have to be able to give +2/+2 for 2 mana or less. Let's see. Oh, they do have Brutal Cathar, that's right. So they have 4 removal spells in the whole deck. Just 1 playset of Brutal Cathar. What do I do now? I have a Blood Token and a Clue to draw cards. I have Anvil to get 1/1 blockers. I don't have anything that can kill the Siege Veteran, unfortunately, which means they can keep buffing their stuff up to be more than 1 toughness. 4 mana total. I can only play 1 spell this turn, no matter what I do. Exile 1 card from grave and hold up my Blood Token, or play the Anvil and hold up my Clue token. I think I just get the Anvil going. And then I draw from this Clue because I gain 2 and create the 1/1 from the Anvil. Sack the food and get a blood cycle on their turn. I don't get 1/1s if I sack artifacts during their turn. I do get Sheoldred triggers, though. So I want to keep all my artifacts around and just sack them exclusively during my turn, for the most part. Oh dear, that could be a lot of stuff here. Look at the top 3 for mana value 3 or less. Look at the top 7, and they can play 3 with mana value 3 or less. Okay. Well, now we're just Brotherhood's End or bust. Well, no, Sheoldred's a lot of life gain. We might still be in here even if we don't draw a board wipe. I'm going to kill the frontliner because I can exile it from grave, and then I'm going to chump block the big thing and gain a life off Anvil. Since that's going to die anyway. It is not a Brotherhood's End. Probably playing Graveyard Trespasser this turn, but let's cycle towards a potential Brotherhood's End first. Discard Sokenzen. Sheoldred is so disgusting. Getting so much life here. Okay, so we didn't get a Brotherhood's End, so we're not going to board wipe. So we just play Trespasser, stop the frontliner, gain another life here. And I only have 1 mana to play around with, which I guess I just throw into Epic here, because might as well get another blocker. And another blood token set up. To dig again. I think that's what we do. And we have these invokes to gain 1,000,000 in the future, although I need to gain 1,000,000,000, so I don't know if gaining 1,000,000 is enough when I need to gain 1,000,000,000. We'll see. We'll find out. These Guardians are really nasty, because they can enlist another big creature and then just discard a card to give them indestructible. Alright, sack the food, gain some life immediately, is the play. Another Valiant Veteran. Brotherhood's End still wipes the entire board because both veterans will die, so the rest of their board technically only 2 toughness or less. Well, this is not good. They have 1 card in their hand. There's no like 1 mana instant they run that I've seen yet in my like 2 games of playing this format. They can exile these from grave to put counters on their board. Wow. Yeah, I guess because they're a card in hand, they'll keep 1 Benalia through a Brotherhood's End, but that it'll just be a 2/2 if I do it. If I get one. I think I want to pop this so that if I do get a board wipe, they don't get 1/1s when I do wipe the board. 12, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 20. I have to block like everything. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's enough blocks. They take 14. Okay. Oh, I forgot to use Anvil. That was dumb. They have 1 blocker. Block there. Have they played a spell this turn? They spent 4 mana on something. Yeah, they played a Valiant Veteran at least, so this is not going to flip. So if we attack both, they block there, get drained for 1, take 4. They take 4. Invoke hits them for 4 more, so they take like 8. 9 from Anvil, 10 from doing Anvil again after that. I'm not going to survive another crackback, so I mean I might as well sack the food here because I didn't sack the 1/1 to see if I can stack up into lethal this next attack. If I don't hit Brotherhood's End. Yeah, the drain for 2 on their first draw is a thing as well. I have to cast Invoke. Hit them for 4, they're down to 7. Chump block with Veteran, so they take another 4, they're down to 3. And then Anvil to put them to 2, and then Sheoldred kills them? I'm probably doing the math wrong. But I guess we'll find out. Attack both, exile 1 from grave. Why wouldn't I invoke first? It's the same either way. Oh, I guess because they might not block. I mean, they probably block because we're so done on board regardless. Yeah, they're dead. They're dead. Calm down. They're dead. Unless they kill this. Alright. Yeah, I specifically killed the shield vet. That was a pointed killing of shield vet. That was stressful. I don't like standard. Okay, we are on the play with turn 2 Fable. If they blow up this Goblin token, we're going to lose, but if they can't, we're going to, like, guaranteed win here, so I'm going to keep the mono black hand. Because on the play in this format with a Fable in hand is literally unbeatable. Not literally, but usually unbeatable. Okay, turn 1 Delver. Do you have the Spell Pierce in hand? Spell Pierce or bust? Alright, we can scoop them up now. They won. R.I.P. That was the turn that chooses the winner of the game, pretty much. Now they negate everything we do, and they have a clue token when they don't have to negate. And I have lost my red source. Not gonna go for the throw to Delver, so I try to draw land. Dang. Well, this is rough. I think that the keep was correct and the play was correct. It was just playing to the probability there. There's 4 cards in their deck where they win, and if they don't have those, we probably win. We really lose here, though. It was statistically unlikely to miss this many lands. Now we're having a very bad time. At least their Delvers are just not flipping for them. They're not having the greatest luck either, which means they're not drawing a lot of instants and sorceries, so their hand might not have a lot of counters in it. If they hit any, they would have flipped. What is the worst in this matchup? I probably just have to cast a Go for the Throat here. It's better than just discarding something. This is awkward. I guess we pull a negate out rather than discarding a card for the turn. Sure. Pull a slip out of the back, out of their hand. They still haven't hit an instant or sorcery for these Delvers. Try to go for the throat this one. See if I can pull the negate out, because if I Liliana, even if Liliana resolves, they'll just sack the smaller Delver and then kill Liliana with the other one. And Liliana probably doesn't resolve anyway. I don't really want to Trespasser till there's creatures in grave. I guess there's an Epicure in grave. I feel like I'm just going to go for the throat of Delver after they untap, see if we can soak up some of their counterspell mana, so they don't have it up when we go to our next turn. Please don't flip. They're still not flipping. I think our opponents missed like 4 Delver flips in a row. It's absurd. It's going to be a shore up now. Fading Hope. Put it back in their hand. Means they recast it, hold up 2 for their negate. If they have negate. Hold up 3 for anything. Liliana's so bad here. I mean, Liliana's not bad. We kill one Delver, and then they attack Liliana with the other one. Sheoldred and Trespasser probably just get countered. Do I just play a Trespasser now? Trespasser is not that much of a worse play than these two if they have the counterspell. Or if they don't have the counterspell, I should say. And if they do, that's probably what we want to try to draw their counter out with. Okay, we're dead. They have flipped now, and they have a Spell Pierce up. 7 damage on board. I have a food. So I'm essentially at 9 life, so I'm not dead in 1 attack. If I Fable and they Spell Pierce, I can't eat my food. If they Spell Pierce anything I do, I can't eat my food. So I can't do anything this turn. I guess I could trade one of my spells for their Spell Pierce. Yeah, I guess I Oni-Cult Anvil, and if they want to pierce it, then they've got it, because I have no other artifacts for the Anvil anyway. Yeah, I know food takes 2. Interesting. Yeah, that's why, like, if I try to cast Liliana, I have 2 mana up, and then I have to pay for Spell Pierce, and I can't eat the food. Or if I cast Fable, I have 2 up, I pay for Spell Pierce and can't eat the food. I guess I eat the food right now, so I can actually get a 1/1, and then I can sack the 1/1 to gain another life. Alright. If that's dead anyway, we'll sack it to gain a life. Counter their Scry 1. Okay. Take 7, go to 3 life. And if I hit a mountain and they only have Spell Pierce, then Brotherhood's End could resolve. That is our only way to stay in the game now, is if we can kill both of these off 1 spell, so... Yeah, if I Liliana and make them sack 1, the other one kills me. If I Sheoldred, I don't gain any life, and then I just die in the sky. It's my only out. And they probably have the counter. We can pay for the Pierce, but can't get around a negate or anything. Oh my god, wait. Wait a second. I guess I'm still in the game for a second. Dream Shacklegeist. It seems like they only have Spell Pierce, which means I can resolve a Liliana now to kill that one. Which I have to do because nothing else is going to get around that flyer. Go for the Liliana that Spell Pierce can't counter. Thanks for the follow, Progress73. And if they don't Spell Pierce this, we can also Bloodtithe post-combat.
Enough with the mysteries. I've come. One of your friends
because they can't Spell Pierce a creature spell. Maybe it's all creature counters. It's all creature counters, okay. Sure. One mana away from dumping my whole hand down, so if I draw a land, I can go land, cast both of these, and then just start ripping away their hand with Liliana's +1. And there's a land. That is the plan now. Play the Fable first, because they might not Spell Pierce it. They see I have 4 open mana. They didn't spell pierce it, so I can try to cast Sheoldred as well, and then +1 Liliana on an empty hand to force them to be the only one to discard. Okay, they do have the counterspell for that, fair enough. And now they discard something. My beard is getting absolutely assaulted today. There's so much thinking, I gotta just rip the whole beard out. Discard a land, they have a spell pierce, and whatever's on top of their deck. Oh, Graveyard Trespasser is good. Unless the top of their deck was Essence Scatter, I suppose. Which it could be. But if it is Scatter, they counter this, and then I make them discard Spell Pierce, and then they have nothing. Whereas we have a Kiki Jiki coming up. Oh, they can't counter that. Oh my god, this is good. Life gain is so big here, and Liliana's just doing work. One-sided discard. So good in this matchup. The Spell Pierce is gone now. No spells means Graveyard Glutton flips. We can exile 2 cards and gain 2 life off of each attack. Don't actually think I plus Liliana now, because 3 loyalty is enough to make them sack a creature, which is the really important ability. And I could be using a Voltage Surge. It can kill Delvers and stuff. Although, yeah, because if they draw any lands, they're just going to keep them in hand, so if I plus 1, it's likely I discard a Surge, they discard a land. Oh, they're going to pay for the ward to phase out my Glutton for 1 turn. Pretty cool with that. Alright, in that case, I definitely don't plus Liliana, because they don't even have a hand anyway. Okay. Plus pre-combat and see what they have.
I'm tired of your secrets.
Another counterspell that they can't afford. I don't want to cast any spells this turn, because I'd like Glutton to stay at nighttime. So let's just get a duplicate here. Exile a 2, attack for 9, exile 4 more cards, gain 4 more life. I don't think there's 4 more creatures in Graves. Oh, there are. All right. We're really coming ahead here. They're down to 6 that fast. And we're passing the turn. Thirst for discovery for them. Dig for an out, but it's got to be for 2 mana or less. And we're at 9 life now. It's not going to find it. Oh my god. That's a never concede kind of game right there. Good lord, 2-0. But it feels like I've played 10 games already. They were very unlucky with the Delver flips. That was, yeah. We were both really unlucky at the start of that game. I had no lands for some time, and they just couldn't flip the Delvers for like 5 turns. We've got both of our colors here. We, of course, have 1 treasure token every game. I have not 7-wind the Sealed already. I'm trying to get these Standard out of the way first. Because I really don't want to get stuck on Standard and have to play Standard for a long time, whereas Sealed is a format I really enjoy, so if Standard takes long enough that I just stream Sealed all day tomorrow, I'm super cool with that. But I don't want to end up playing Sealed and then having to jam a bunch of Standard for like 3 days in a row. So I'm just trying to blitz the Standard out of the way as quick as I can. It's not going super according to plan. Turn 1 Surge on that 2-1 seems good. I really think it matters what I choose, because I'm not going to use the treasure right now. Yeah, if they were choosing not to flip the Delvers to not reveal their counter spells, then that definitely cost them the game. Because we would have been real dead if they just flipped them early. But they could have just been getting real unlucky. Probably going to draw a card from this clue. I don't think I can afford to just jam out a 3-drop here when I don't know if I'm going to hit any more lands anytime soon. Like, if I lose my 1 treasure, then I don't have more lands next turn. Like, okay, I've cast 1 spell all game. Let's hope that's enough. So we need to dig for lands right now rather than play more stuff currently. Oni-Cult Anvil, I mean, that's a good card. We did hit a land in the end. Let's go. 1 mana up for them. Kind of like Trespasser here. Anvil's solid too, but Trespasser's pretty sweet. The fact that it makes them 2 for 1 themselves to kill it is always awesome. And if I Anvil, I'm just grinding out like 1 damage a turn. I'm not doing anything absurd with it right now. Trespasser just hits harder to start it off. And if I hit any land, I can play an Anvil and hold up a Go for the Throat, which feels good. Being able to hold up interaction. Ooh, no spells. Graveyard Glutton. Let's do some nasty things. Oh, you know what? They don't have any blue mana. I'm highly tempted to just use the treasure to invoke to spare them. I probably should have done that pre-combat if that's what my line is going to be, because then I could fill the graveyard for the Glutton. Oh wait, no, it doesn't make anybody discard. What am I talking about? And it doesn't make them sack creatures that don't exist. Ooh. Alright, so they are going to 2 for 1 themselves to kill the Glutton. And take a couple damage from the Grasp. Do I just go miles ahead in card advantage here? Lose my treasure to have 7... I'd have 8 cards in hand. That's kind of awkward. I'd have to discard something. That's my highest impact play by far. They lose 6, I draw 3. Anvil's fine, and I get to hold up Go for the Throat if I do it. Yeah, whatever. I'm invoking. Ooh, double Anvil. Discard this Brotherhood's End. It doesn't seem like it's going to do much in this matchup. Does the emblem make much of a difference, or do you mostly just play regular standard? I haven't played enough standard to know for sure, but it does feel like the emblem, because of the treasure token, gives an even bigger advantage to whoever's on the play. That's something that Dilbert brought up, and I definitely agree.
Look how my art hums with life.
Well, that's awkward. That is the exact play that would make me want a Brother's Head End, because it could kill the Thopters and Saheeli. That's hilarious. Well, I mean, they're at 10 life, and I can just set up a double Anvil here. I've still got the hook up. That's just kind of awkward. Because I can't really deal with any of that with Go for the Throats. Can't deal with it well with Liliana. Just double Anvil it up. Yeah, the other thing that the emblem does is for any decks that care about artifacts quite a bit, you can consistently know you're hitting 3 artifacts in the first 3 turns, so it makes Oni-Cult Anvil a lot easier to run. You don't have to dedicate a boatload of slots to getting artifact tokens on board, you're just going to have them. So that's the other thing. Like, this is pretty much just your average Rakdos Midrange build, but just with Oni-Cult Anvils shoved in, with no support for the Anvils because you don't actually need it. There's like a little bit of support with Bloodtithe Harvester, but that's the kind of card you're already playing in this deck.
Of course,
without the Anvils. Alright, they're going to get a lot of like, creatures and stuff out here, but again, we can still focus on the life drain with the Anvils. What else does Saheeli do? Just keep scrying and drawing cards? Yeah. So Saheeli's another card that's kind of unique that this format makes better, because you just have random artifacts lying around for the +1. So Saheeli is consistently just like scry 1, draw 1. But it feels relatively minor, like just stuff like that. Overall, there's a lot of people that are definitely just playing the exact same standard deck that they usually do. Go for the throat, the Goblin Shaman. I can either kill Saheeli or hit them for 2. Oh, they can crew Bankbuster, can't they? No, it's crew 3. Okay, good. Thank goodness. I think I'm killing Saheeli here. Although I'm tempted. I put them to 7. Put them to 7. My board state's going to be pretty wide. Can they get 2 1/1s next turn? They can. They could get 2 1/1s off Saheeli. This might be wrong, but I'm going to kill Saheeli since they can get 2 blockers to trade off with next turn. I could speed up my clock by 1 turn, hitting them in the face. I guess that plays better if they have like a Voltage Surge here. Yikes. Alright, I guess I should have went to the face. I would have actually gotten 1 damage. Wait, what? Did I sack the wrong one? No, this is the line to Saheeli, correct? Thank God. Oh my God. Arena just making me lose my mind. I see this line. I think that's the Voltage Surge. I was like, I swear to God, I clicked the right one. Oh my God.
If you're not impressed, just say so.
Oh my God. I'm going to hold up Go for the Throat for now, but we're probably going to sack the Blood, discard this land in their end step. I was in fear that I misclicked so hard there. If they play a creature that I want to kill with Bloodtithe Harvester, I need to make sure not to sacrifice this blood. I have made that mistake earlier today. Harvester does not kill anything without blood on board. That's a lot of Fables today. That's just how standard is. Everybody's going to be all Fables all day. I'm part of the problem. I got 4 in here. They have 2 mana up. They're at 8 life. They're going to Voltage Surge my Bloodtithe Harvester. I can't sacrifice a Bloodtithe Harvester to an Anvil, which is sad. So it just dies. No attacks. They're going to hold off the blocks to trade with my 1/1s. Okay, so if I go for the Throat, this 2/2. If I go for the Throat, the 2/2, I have 3 1/1s to attack them with, which guarantees that I put them down to 7. I could sack 1 thing to Anvil right now to put them down to 6, and then 2 next turn to put them down to 4. I don't think we're go for the Throating this, because we can go for the Throat the Kiki-Jiki later. I think I just pass. And I don't think I sack the Blood to Anvil when I could sack it during my turn and get 2 more 1/1s to get wide enough to try to still kill them. I think next turn might just be Crack the Blood to draw a card, which will trigger both of the Anvils without having to sack any 1/1s, and then I just don't attack that turn. Try to get this board state really wide. Well, now that I have 2 go for the Throats, it might have been reasonable to kill that. But yeah, let's Crack the Blood, get 2 1/1s. Draw a card. Double Anvil here, we just try to get to a position where we can attack them with like 4 or 5 more creatures than they have. Could Liliana and make everybody discard a card. They haven't played a land for quite some time. And then I just discard this Swamp. Liliana's -2 seems like it's never going to matter here because the Saheeli keeps going off. Seems reasonable. I still hold up Go for the Throat to kill the Kiki-Jiki.
Those who get in my way tend to regret it.
Lily -Go for the Throat swing? That'd be fine. I hit for 2 damage. I guess I could just kill Saheeli if I do that. Oh, I do get to sack everything that gets blocked. I think I'm just going for like a really big attack next turn. Go for the Throat in the end step, go for the Throat again during my turn. Well, they had to go for the Throat in Hand as well to discard to the Fable. They probably have to sack Saheeli here. Yeah, they do. Get that wide board state to try to survive.
Two beauties coming at you.
They could attack Liliana with all of their flyers, but then they're dead on board. I guess not on board, but they're definitely dead if they do that. Ooh. Okay. Well, they have one more card in hand.
It's no fun when they hit back.
Oh. I guess they still have some blockers. If I do the math right, they might die.
The last thing you'll see is the sun glittering off my machines.
Oh, they chose not to make more blockers? Okay, then they are dead.
Let's see where this train of thought leads.
Then I don't need to do a lot of math. I need to make sure to kill one right now, then they won't have enough creatures left to crew the Bankbuster, so I can kill the other one. They have no creatures. They take 5 from all this. I drain for 2. I guess they go to 1. They go to 1. Dang. But if they're at 1 life against double Anvil, then unless they play their own Anvil, they would be dead. But they played their own Anvil, so they're not going to be dead. Now we have an issue. They're still going to be at like 1, because they gain a life here. And they actually have a blocker, but I'll sacrifice whichever gets blocked. Put them even lower, I think. Oh, they'll get to block with Bankbuster? But that's still only 1 blocker, because they'd have to tap both of their other creatures in order to crew it. They'd still have 1 blocker up, and then I just sacrifice whatever the Bankbuster blocks. Sheoldred makes it lethal. Go for the Throat so that they only have 1 blocker. Their choice is if they want to block with a 1/1 or if they want to crew Bankbuster and block with that. If I don't go for the Throat, then if I attack with everybody, they could just not crew Bankbuster and actually block 2 creatures. So we definitely go for the Throat here. Forces them to have 1 blocker, whether it's a 1/1 or a 4/4. It's going to be a 1/1. So we attack with everybody. Hit for a ton. Sheoldred plus Anvil means they die when they draw a card. Oh no, they have a food. They're not quite dead. I forgot about the food. Oh no. They kept the food this long. That's actually really relevant. We're certainly not dead. We're at 20. We still made probably the best play regardless. Maybe we shouldn't have sacked the 1/1. We should have let it trade into theirs. I think that's the only thing we might have wanted to do differently. But if they can't kill Sheoldred, they're still dead to Anvils, because I can double sack to Anvil to put them to 2 life. Because they gain 1 from Anvil to be at 4, but then at 4 life, 2 Anvil sacks puts them to 2, Sheoldred puts them to 0. And they can't like dig for an out here, because if they draw more cards, then they just go to dead to Anvils. If they try to draw a card with Bankbuster or Saheeli, they go to 1 life. And then they need something astronomically good to not die to an Anvil tapping. Alright, things got funky there. I totally forgot about the food. I'm pretty sure we're pretty good.
For now. So clanks and whirs are a symphony. So here's
That's a cheap ult.
finale.
-4. Artifacts all get +1/+1. Okay. Well, they played everything in their hand, so they're just dead, right? They literally can't top deck because they die when they draw the card, so it literally doesn't matter what card it is. It's just like send a message, do as much damage as possible. But that is game. Oh no, it's not game because they can use Anvil twice. Oh no, we might be dead because they can use Anvil twice. Because they can use Anvil in response to Liliana. Although they have 4, we just attack with everybody and they're still dead, right? Yeah, I think the only thing that changed is that I have to declare an attack now. Although, but if I attack with everybody and they triple block Liliana, what happens? Maybe I attack with everybody, they crew Bankbuster, 4/4 and 2/2 on Liliana, block there, they take 4, they die even with Anvil. They only have 4... I'm pretty sure they can kill Liliana on this block, but if they do, they die to everything else. I can't just pass the turn now because they're functionally at 5, not 4. Because they don't take the Sheoldred. I'm getting my cards mixed up. The Sheoldred damage. They don't take the Sheoldred damage until the Anvil untaps and they get to use it an additional time. Put them to 1 life. And then I use Anvils twice. These are going to die anyway, so I use 1 Anvil now. We resolve this damage, they die, so they have to use their Anvil. And then I can respond to them using theirs by using mine. Okay. Oh! I'm gonna have a heart attack. Why is this the format? Why is standard the way that it is? I can't do this. I can't stream this format. I like to make all my decisions in deck building. There's 5,000 decisions in gameplay at all times. This is not my cup of tea. We're 3-0 though, and every single game involved several scares where I thought I was going to lose. On the play. Unfortunately, we don't have a reflection of the Kiki. Reflection of the Kiki. Reflection of the Mirror Breaker, but this still looks like a good hand that I want to keep. We've got the removal if they have a reflection. Very much a thing. We should have kept that. I generally like to get to 5 or 6 lands, but if I get to 7 or 8, I would want to cycle that later. Alright, Epicure, turn 1. I don't super want to use a Voltage Surge on a 1/1. So I think I'm just going to play a Harvester. And pass. Scrapwork Mutt. Alright, I updated the stream title, sorry, to make it say that we're doing Grab Bag Standard right now and then Mixer Sealed afterward, because it is taking longer than I had hoped for. These games are long and intense. Alright, grab a food. Ooh, an Anvil? That's a pretty great draw. That's really good against their deck. It's all 1 toughness right now. We get to gain life throughout the game, keep spitting out 1/1s. So we set down an Anvil. Do I drain them for a life off of one of these tokens, or do I just use the blood to discard a card, draw a card? I like kind of having the blood for Harvester, just in case. So I think I'm going to eat the food to the Anvil. Could Surge the Mutt to get a Harvester attack in. Seems fine. It's not like the greatest kill ever, especially because I'm going to have 1/1s, but getting on the aggressive seems okay. You know what? No. I'm going to grind out a long game. I have an Anvil. We'll grind this out. Make sure we have all the removal we need for scarier threats from them later. We don't have to push on the aggressive here right now. Could be a mirror match, they just have some mutts in there as well. Abrade is a beautiful card in the mirror match. because that's an Oni-Cult Anvil to blow up. Voltage Surge, our Harvester, fair. Goodbye to our Harvester. Are we going to sack their own food to get a 1/1 now? Or I guess Mutt trading off does give them a 1/1. I'm going to gain a lot of life throughout this game with an Anvil, so I'm going to take 1 extra point of damage to force them to sacrifice something to the Anvil instead of just trading off with the artifact to trigger it naturally. So now they lose one of their tokens. Okay. Now we abrade the anvil. I think I'm actually going to sack the clue here so I draw a card and get a 1/1. Definitely feeling bad about playing Xander's Lounge turn 1 because we did draw almost all lands here, so we definitely would have cycled it by now. Happy to see Gix, because it's a perfect target for my Voltage Surge. It's relatively easy to kill with it. Oh, they do get to draw a card here though, which I'm less happy about. Unless I Surge their 1/1, in which case I can't kill the Gix, so... Alright, I'm a little less happy about that, but we're still going to be Voltage Surge and Gix. Maybe I should have Voltage Surged right then, but I lose a 1/1. I think I should have Voltage Surged right then. A 1/1's less valuable than a card for my opponent. They have a Crown as well to start putting on their creatures, so whenever they die, they get a card off of them. Count as dying. Exiles at the beginning of the end step. Okay, so they can't draw a card off an unearthed creature at least. Ooh. Piece of candy. Okay. If they draw extra cards, they take extra damage. Until they blow up Sheoldred. And there's a Synthesizer. That doesn't technically count as drawing a card, so that's pretty great for them. Just exile the card from the top and play it this turn. And it is a land. Fable of the Mirror Breaker, the super huge value play. Slap the Crown onto the 3/1, we'll trade the 3/1 with our 1/1, and they will know. We're just going to hold it for blocks, I guess. More mana for us. We get rid of this Swamp, draw a card, play Haunted Ridge as the land for turn. Brotherhood's End. I can blow up all of their artifacts, but it would blow up my anvil. Or I could blow up all creatures and lose my 1/1s here. I don't think I want to do either of those yet. If I blow up everything but Sheoldred, then I'm in a good spot if I blow up everything but Sheoldred. However, my anvil doesn't go off anymore because I've already gotten my 1/1 this turn. I'll have no more artifacts to sack to it. They would draw a card off Crown, which puts them to 13. Then I hit them to 4, they go down to 9. They draw for turn, they go down to 7. Putting them to 7 is like highly tempting. And I might as well get another life drain out of this because I'm going to kill these creatures anyway. So it's putting them down to 6, I think. down to 12, plus 4 down to 8, draw a card, down to 6, yeah. It's all in. Like, if they hit removal for Sheoldred, this is going to be bad, but if they don't immediately hit removal for Sheoldred, if they have to dig for it, they're going to be really, really low on life, and somebody that's on 2 or 4 life when you have an Anvil on board is relatively easy to kill if we draw pretty much anything. That makes a random artifact, like our Fables. We've got 3 Invoke Despairs in here that would just kill them on the spot. Graveyard Trespassers would be very lethal. More Oni-Cult Anvils would be fine. Bloodtithe Harvesters fuel the Anvil. Yeah, I think those were solid plays. We have so many ways to close out a last few bit of damage, or last few points of damage, if they do kill the Sheoldred. And obviously if they don't, then it just wins the game. Alright, make a chump blocker here. That is not completely tapped out. They've got 1 mana, but here we go, another land for us. They will be forced into a chump, and then they'll go to 4 life. Pass turn. They are down to 4. Kiki-Jiki flips, which gives them at least a chump blocker, if nothing else. Now they are going to dig with the research desk, because it's their only way to dig without actually drawing a card and taking more damage. They hit an egg and a black spell, a Soul Ripper. Could crew into a 4/3? Not a removal spell. There's some kind of Rakdos sacrifice thing. But Soul Ripper is the play. They can crew it so they have 2 blockers here, but they're just going to scoop it up. Yeah, they can crew it to chump block with that, and then they chump block with Kiki the next turn. But they are over it. So they are going to go to 2 life with no ability to draw, and I've got a lot of draws that will kill them there. We are 4-0 now, heading into game 5. We are 3 victories away from getting the standard grab bag event out of the way. Hopefully we can keep it up. I'm tremendously into this deck. I'm not into how I play this deck. I'm not playing super well, but the deck is finding ways out for me. Fortunately, our opponent is on the play, which can be really devastating in this format. Luckily, I have a really good hand if they do just dump a bunch of stuff on the board real quick. But they're blue-red. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. We've got turn 2 Fable the Mirror Breaker. Not as good on the draw as on the play, but that's still an option now. Make a treasure and play Fable turn 2. They are Grixis, blue, red, black. Probably pretty controlling. There's the nightmare play from the format. Turn 2 Fable of the Mirror Breaker on the play. My only way to stop that from getting them a treasure here is to Brotherhood's End and 1-for-1 to kill the goblin half of the Fable. And they're Grixis, so they probably have removal for my half of the Fable. I try to do that this turn. So I use my treasure without getting great value. Let them get some treasures here. We're going to play a Harvester and pass, save our treasure for later. If the Harvester sticks around, that can kill the Goblin. It just doesn't kill it turn 1. I want to save Brotherhood's End. If nothing else, I can blow up both the Goblin token and the reflection of Kiki-Jiki with the Brotherhood's End, instead of just the Goblin token. Abrade for the Harvester. I do not have a viable response. Harvester is dead. Treasure from their Goblin Shaman, some good value for them. and a Bloodtithe Harvester. So they're going to have 3 creatures on the board next turn. They're going to have a Harvester, a Goblin Token, and a Reflection of Kiki Jiki. So we are definitely casting Brotherhood's End next turn. Which means I think that I play Xander's Lounge so I could cast it without using the treasure. And then I just use my clue or my food and take some damage here. So I'm not just Brotherhood's Ending my own Harvester. I could still play my own Harvester because odds are they'll shoot it down with some kind of removal, and that would be good for me, but if I can get them to put another creature on the board, that's going to be incredibly good for me. Unless it's a Sheoldred, that would be pretty bad. But if it's 3 toughness or less, that'd be good. Alright, they're going to pass turn here, holding up maybe a counterspell with their blue mana. That would pretty much just kill me if they have counterspells off the blue. There's a Sheoldred. Play my land first in case the counterspell is specifically Spell Pierce, and then we try to blow everything up. They have like an Urtai they win. Okay, they do not have a counter, so that works really well for us. I put a Bloodtithe Harvester on this empty board. It's not necessary. I'm going to be very greedy with my treasure. Just hold off here. Alright, they are really drawing some cards here. They've used their blood and their clue. Squeaky chair! Corpse Appraiser, that's a very good card. They get a 3/3 and they draw the best card off the top 3 of their library. They lose an Abrade and a Brotherhood's End for a different card. Maybe like a Sheoldred, because those are 2 good cards. Guess they don't do much against an empty board. Ooh, Invoke Despair. Speaking of good cards, I'm not going to run out of Sheoldred before I try to Invoke because they're going to have removal, so I'm not going to play Sheoldred until I've already like worked through all these cards. I'm just going to Invoke them while it kills an Appraiser and draws me 2 cards. Pretty good value. Voltage Surge, Bloodtithe Harvester. I hope they don't have invokes of their own. They are a 3-color deck. But this format gives everybody 1 treasure token per game, so you can get more bold with your mana. And I'm not like incredibly confident because of my life total, but cards in hand is going pretty great. Grix's deck usually has Invoke Despair. God, Standard's mana fixing is out of this world. Now you can play the quadruple black in the 3-color deck. Blade Coil Serpent, oh my god. They draw a card, we discard a card, and that hits us for 6 immediately. I'm gonna have to Voltage Surge that, I think. Lose our treasure here. And blood, keep the food. We have plenty of cards right now. What do I discard, though? One of the Fables? Next turn, I'm probably going to go Fable Harvester. And then I could go Trespasser Harvester the turn after that. I'm not discarding Sheoldred, though. I feel like I discard one of the Harvesters, because the Fables are just more to get through, and the Trespasser gaining life is very ideal. Can also help shut off Corpse Appraisers if we get a lot of exiling done by it. I'd rather Fable Harvester first. Because I want to get the Fable rolling, try to get it to part 3 of the saga. Brotherhood's End, alright. 1.5 for 1. Killed half of my Fable and my Harvester. Now they have their own Harvester I can Abrade. And then I'll still have a go for the throat after an Abrade, and there's no reason to discard any of these, because they are all solid. They're down to 2 cards in hand. They just played their board wipe, so I'm going to play Trespasser because it plays so well against targeted removal. To where if they have a targeted removal spell and one other card in hand, they have to just discard their whole hand to kill it. Unless it's a counterspell. Alright, well, we found the counterspell. I was not playing under the impression that they would have any based on how their deck was before that, but that's rough. I mean, Fable getting countered is almost as bad, so... It's not like we had a line to play around the 2-mana counter. I guess if I 100% knew they had it in hand, I could just never cast anything unless I have a million mana up. Bankbuster's a very good draw for them because that's going to draw them 3 more cards throughout the game. Again, everything in Standard is like a 3-for-1. Like Fable the Mirror Breaker, that's 3 cards in one. Bankbuster that draws 3 cards, and all that kind of stuff. 2 cards in their hand. They're at 15. They're going to sit here drawing more cards off Bankbuster. If they don't have the removal for Sheoldred now, they're just going to draw into it by the time I play Sheoldred because they're sitting here drawing extra cards right now, so I'm pretty sure I just slam this thing down. And pass. Right, cycle Xander's Lounge before it will damage them to do so. I'd rather play this or draw another card with it. 5 mana is enough here to play both of these spells next turn. Actually gonna probably blood token the Lounge away. Although that's kind of missing out on 1 card draw later in the game if I do that. Alright, they don't currently have removal for Sheoldred, so at worst she's gonna do a lot of damage to them as they dig for it. That is 4 damage dealt by Sheoldred now. There's a Shipwreck Marsh from our opponents. They have 6 mana up, could play another Blade Coil Serpent or something. There's an Abrade that's not big enough to kill Big Booty Sheoldred, so just kill the Reflection here. Play a Fable. They can dig for removal again by discarding and drawing, but when they do, they're going to take more damage, and Sheoldred might be getting there here. I'm actually going to do that thing where I get greedy and don't use the blood right now. Anvil or go for the throat? Anvil or go for the throat? I'm not going to shoot this goblin. It's okay if they chump. But I know I'm going to Fable here, and then it's between Anvil or holding up the removal. I just Anvil. Anything that I would need to kill, I can just do that during my upkeep. So the worst thing I could think of would be a Sheoldred. The Blade Coil Serpent's scary as well, but we're at 16 life, they can't kill me with it, so I don't... Oh, and this can't kill the Serpent anyway, because that's an artifact. I am a doofus. Alright, draw another card off Fable. That's another 2 damage from Sheoldred, putting them down to 6. They gotta dig again, putting them down to 4. At least they do get a 1/1 to block with this time. Two cards in hand. Is this an artifact? This is just a colorless creature. It is not an artifact, so I could go for the throat and try to just attack them for lethal. I already have lethal on board, but that would make it extra lethal. Because they go chump, block those, and then I sack another thing. That's how I currently have lethal, but if they have 0 blockers, that's tremendously lethal. They do have Invoke Despair here. Makes us sacrifice a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker. So we are going to lose 2. They're going to draw a card here, which puts them down to 2. So I sack the construct. I have to sack the reflection, but then they draw a card, take 2. They're at 2 life, and they die when they draw 1 more card. So if this is not the removal... No, they still have the food. I always forget the food. Everybody's doing a really good job leaving the food behind. I never leave the food behind. Ooh, destroy the anvil. That's pretty good, but now they can't afford the food, which means they're dead on board because they block and take 2. And if they weren't, I could go for the throat, the pilot. Okay. Everybody's playing a lot better than me, I'm going to be honest. People are playing some tight plays, but this deck is absurd. We are 5-0 now. We are beating the food hoarders. There's always that food left behind where I'm like, oh, they're always keeping me off lethal with that, but then we are beating the food hoarders. We're 5-0. Game 6, let's go. Opponent is on the play. Sad. Still a really good hand. We've got the anvil to start filtering things out turn 2. Again, I say this all the time, but just in case you pick up this deck to try to play this event with, we never use the treasure to play the anvil. Because we're not going to do anything with it if we play it turn 1, because we won't have any other artifacts to sack anyway. So hold on to the treasure. I'm just going to shoot this knight. And now we have a very good use for this treasure token and Invoke Despair on turn 4. Don't mind if I do, that card is dumb. Mukatai's Soul Ripper with no creatures to crew it. If I can just keep killing their creatures, then it should be pretty absurd. So I'm going to grab the food, play the anvil, and sack it to the anvil, I think. Although Harvester's also a reasonable play. Yeah, I'm actually going to go Harvester. This way I do have a removal spell for if they play another creature that has 2 or less toughness, because again, if I can keep all of their other creatures dead, then Soul Ripper doesn't do anything. Is there a deck list? Untapped should show the deck at the left-hand side here, but I don't have a link to a deck list or anything right now. I haven't put it on MTG Goldfish or anything. I did brew this deck myself, but it's basically a mixture of 2 very well-known archetypes. So it's not the most original brew. And I want to change things out a little bit. These epic years have not been great. If it weren't for this Invoke Despair in hand, just playing 2 anvils in 1 turn would be so spicy. Now that I have an additional anvil in hand, I'm actually going to lean into that and get ready to set another anvil on the board here rather than playing the Harvester. Yeah, sure, I can show off the deck after this game. You can check out the deck list. It's been doing really, really well. There's definitely some changes that can be made. Again, Epicures haven't been doing a lot. Invoke's been doing a ton, so I'd probably put a 4th in here. Because, again, with the treasures, you can really help hit that mana cost. This is aggressive. Just crew the Ripper and get in. Okay. Cool with me. I'll take it. So... wish there were a land. Invoke Despair would be so beautiful. Anvil's great. Fable's great. Harvester's great. I think I'm just going to play the Fable. Because then I can guarantee I'm Invoke Despairing them next turn. Which is insane. And I'll have 2 blockers up because of the Oni-Cult Anvil. Oh, I can't gain life. That's a bit of a bummer. I forgot about that. Sanguine Spy. So opponents can't gain life? So they've got the friggin' the hypocritical card. Why can you gain life but I can't? It's rude. I'm gonna be getting pretty low on life here. I don't trade into this or chump it. But I'm okay with it. 13's not that low, but their board is getting kind of spooky. Dang. Being able to cast this Invoke Despair without having to chump attack with my Goblin token is pretty good. I kind of think I need to discard some stuff. Bloodtithe Fable. It's awkward. Land, 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 land. There we go. That's land and land. Do this. We sack the knight here. Keep the spy, but they take 1,000,000. I draw a couple cards. They sacked the lifelinker. Whoa. That's super unexpected. I'm tremendously okay with that. Are they going to kill me or something here? They have some way to find lethal? Maybe I'm supposed to hold some 1/1s back if they're getting that bold. They might have some like phenomenal way to find lethal here, but I'm going to have 2 blockers up. At 12 life? Or 3? Oh no, I'm going to have 1 blocker up. I already got a construct from Anvil. Okay, that means I don't have blocks for the Menace. So if they can buff the Menace up to 12, then they win, but if they can't, they're very dead. Alright, yeah, they can go to 6, but this is a big board state. And I have Life Drain from Anvil on board, and Sheoldred's in hand. So they can block and trade into my Goblin, take 4 from the other stuff. Be at 2 life. Yeah, Sheoldred wins it. Anvil also wins it if they're at 2 life and I have 2 Anvils on board. This seems like Trump attack territory. I can't think of anything that could turn this 4 damage into 12. So I'm going to let it through. And I think we're getting there. Eaten alive the Goblin. Okay, so this keeps them barely alive on board. But we know we have another Anvil, so we still kill them. We're good. And I'd rather kill them with an additional Anvil, because if I try to kill them with a Sheoldred and they have instant speed removal, they can survive the Sheoldred trigger by killing Sheoldred before they draw a card. So we'll kill them with Anvils instead. Alright, 6-0. If I can win 1 more game before I lose 3, then we'll have completed the standard grab bag event. Stream's going pretty well. The first run through this event didn't go so hot, but this one's doing really, really well, and we're on the play again. Being on the play is incredibly advantageous in the gift bag format because of that treasure token to really roll things out tremendously quickly. I'm not going to use my treasure immediately, so I'm going to get a food. That's the most expendable artifact for the Voltage Surge and Anvil and stuff like that. Alright, nothing important there. I'm going to play Harvester this turn, so I'll just get the treasure. That way I can hold up Voltage Surge if I need to play it by sacrificing my treasure. We are playing against another black deck. We've got the Go for the Throat for the Sheoldred. There's almost no black deck in existence that doesn't play Sheoldred in Standard. So we definitely need to hold to go for the throat for that. I can surge the sleeper, but if I'm going to use a treasure to kill it, I can just do that during my turn anyway, and it'll be functionally the same. Nova, I'd like to see your work. I mean, it's cool, but I'm definitely not in the market for that. If you're looking for a streamer that's looking for more graphics and stuff, I'm not trying to get that fancy right now. But I'd be interested in seeing your artwork if you're just trying to spread what you do. Could Liliana and kill this. I should have done that main phase 1. I might Voltage Surge and Trespasser here. I could also just trade. A trade is not horrible for me. Yeah, I might just trade here. This is reasonable. Or worst case scenario, I surge in response to this, so they're tapped out. You know, let's just go trade into Trespasser, that's fine. I should have just Liliana made them sack, but this works too. This is good too. And there's their own Graveyard Trespasser. Well, Liliana's super good against that, so I fumbled into a line that helps me a lot, because now I can kill the Graveyard Trespasser without spending 2 cards to kill it, like I would have to if I targeted it. So this is exactly what's been happening today. I've been making plays that are not correct, and we're just fumbling into them working out really well for us. So it's been a great day of Magic. Just fumble into the right line as if I'm omnipotent. Invoke Despair. Ooh, that is pretty nasty here. Lose our Liliana and our Trespasser. Can't do anything in response. Yep, that just happens. Wow, that... Things were going really well and now really badly real quickly. Takenuma can pick up Liliana, or it can pick up Trespasser. Keep it in hand for now. Draw a card off the clue. If I don't hit a land here, I think I'll still play it. Well, everything in my hand is so cheap. I think I'm going to pass here. I'll have the option of Takenuma later. I wonder if they're running the card that brings it back to the battlefield with the +1/+1 counter. I hope not. Looks like they are not. So Sheoldred is gone. Well, no you. They don't have the removal at instant speed, at least. Let's go. Oh, and they're sacking a clue as well. Take 4 minimum. Sheoldred's doing work. Opponent is definitely ahead in card advantage, but if they don't kill Sheoldred this turn, we are far ahead in life total and board state. And they can't kill Sheoldred this turn. Ooh, baby. Exile a couple cards. I can Voltage Surge away the Glutton, discarding a Takenuma. Now I'll discard Sulfurous Springs instead. We've got a Sheoldred on board. We'll sack the food. Attack for 4. So this Takenuma in our hand is essentially an 8 mana Sheoldred. Like, if this Sheoldred dies, we Takenuma, pick it back up, and then cast her next turn. I think we have this on lock. Like, they use removal on Sheoldred. I literally have the mana to pick her right back up and then cast her next turn. And Flesh Gorger is not removal for Sheoldred. That will die to our removal spells and will attack in. Pretty beautiful. I don't actually know which is more flexible. I guess because this can kill a giant Flesh Gorger, If they top deck a 7-mana one, this can kill that, whereas Surge can't, so I'm going to use Surge here. Say goodbye to our blood token. They kill Sheoldred in response to this. That's a very good play. But they don't have the removal for Sheoldred? That's 7-0 with the Rakdos Midrange with some anvils in there. Scoopsie daisy from our opponent. That was a huge event after the first time where we went, what, 2 and 3 or something? That was a huge change of pace. Yeah, this deck is phenomenal. I highly recommend this deck if you have the cards to build it. You can definitely make some adjustments, the ones that I recommended earlier, swapping out maybe some Epicures for some more good late game plays. But overall, works quite well in the format. It just runs a bunch of the best black and red cards in Standard, and runs some cards that happen to synergize real well with tokens lying around. So, the anvils are great, and Sheoldred is busted, Fable the Mirrorbreaker is completely busted in this format. All of that kind of stuff. And with that, we are going to end today's video. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to hang out in real time, check out the Twitch channel in the description below where this was streamed live. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, check out the Patreon link in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.